Here's a true but little-known real-life story that many people have never heard of, though it's one of the most fascinating events in modern history.
The man who saved the world. Stanislav Petrov, 1983.
In September 1983, during the height of the Cold War, the world came dangerously close to nuclear war. But it was stopped by one man's gut feeling. What happened? Stanislav Petrov was a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces. His job was to monitor the Soviet Early Warning System, a network of satellites and computers designed to detect incoming U.S. nuclear missiles. On the night of September 26, 1983, just after midnight, alarms suddenly blared inside the command center near Moscow. The computer screamed, "Launch detected! U.S. missile inbound!" Then another, then 4 more. According to the Soviet system, 5 American nuclear missiles had been launched and were heading straight for the Soviet Union. The pressure. Petrov had just minutes to decide what to do. Protocol required him to immediately report this as a real attack. That report would go up the chain of command, and the Soviet leadership would almost certainly respond with a full-scale nuclear retaliation. That meant World War III, and likely the end of civilization as we know it. The decision, but Petrov hesitated. He reasoned, if the U.S. were to attack, they would launch hundreds of missiles, not just 5. The satellite warning system was new, and Petrov suspected it might be malfunctioning. Against every rule and with enormous pressure on him, he reported it as a false alarm. He was right. It turned out that sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds had fooled the Soviet satellites. Petrov's action, or rather his inaction, likely saved hundreds of millions of lives. Yet he wasn't celebrated. In fact, he was reprimanded for not filling out the logbook correctly and later quietly retired. His story remained classified for years and only became public in the late 1990s. When journalists finally found him, he was living modestly in a small Russian town. When asked if he considered himself a hero, he simply said, "No, I was just doing my job." Why it matters. If Petrov had followed protocol, the Soviet Union would have launched a counterattack, and the U.S. would have responded. The world came within minutes of nuclear annihilation, and most people still don't know the name of the man who stopped it.